Hello and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name's your boy JB, and I have only read 7.5 of these ding-dang books. With me today, though, is my good pal Pete, who's read all of the books. Pete, how you doing?
Doing good, loving the energy you're bringing to the mic. You know, it's been a while, just reminded, absolutely insane that you guys are reading these books. We've been making this podcast for a few years. Just what a wild ride, loving life.
It is a wild ride indeed. With us, additionally, is our co-captain, our editor-in-chief, whatever other titles we want to give them. That's right, it's AJ Fillery.
Hello, I'm here. That's not how you say it, but that's fine. The energy today is like we're a fucking drive time morning show.
That's exactly what I've been going for.
Am I right, fellas? You know?
That's a really good effect. And last, but certainly not least, it is, of course, our stalwart fourth companion, India Jones.
What is stalwart?
Just reliable, always there for you.
Thank you. That is like the least true of anybody on this podcast. I am the least reliable, but I appreciate the sentiment. Let's get it going.
All right. Before we get into it today, I'm going to, as I always do, I'm going to ask each of our hosts the same question, get a quick gut check. Pete, okay. You look a little confused. This is a new bit. What's your favorite coffee shop pastry?
Okay. No, I love this. Little warm up. Tough thing, favorite coffee pastry. I feel like I'd probably just choose a donut. I mean, I just love donuts. I don't eat a lot of them here. And I feel like I don't need to complicate things. You know, lots of great donuts out there.
I like that. I like that a lot. AJ?
Yeah, I'm a big, also a donut, but specifically a glazed donut.
All right, I'm cutting back in. I'm going hard into muffins. I just remembered I love poppy seed muffins. If this has a poppy seed in it, I will eat it, and you cannot talk me out of it. So I'm changing to muffins.
Yeah, and I know this is a fairly innocuous question, Josh. I'm just asking your favorite coffee pastry, but this is like also for sure something that would be on a drive time, like multiple host morning show. So,
I know. Yeah,
let us know what your favorite coffee pastry is. You can call us here at 555-6969.
The perfect phone number.
Yeah.
Also, the best donut flavor is objectively sour cream donuts. I will not be fielding further questions, but
no, you're right.
My favorite coffee pastry. I'm stalling, but I haven't asked India because she's having a quick mic issue. We'll get to her in a second. My favorite is a cheese Danish, but specifically like homemade cheese Danishes. There's a shop near me that does them, and the cheese is fucking incredible.
That rules. Yeah, it's got to be something like, I think I'm specifically glazed because it has to be something that's like super sweet.
Oh yeah, you got to dunk it in your coffee.
You got to dunk it into coffee. You got to use the coffee to wash the patina of sugar off the rest of your mouth. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know you could do that so
accents
well.
Now.
No, Pete's not doing accents. Pete's not doing them.
If I just started doing a really, really Italian one.
I did once in you ever play D&D? Again, stalling for time for India. You ever play D&D and just sort of like enter a fever dream and become a character voice you're doing, and then you can never recreate it?
Yes.
Actually. In fact, one time I did an NPC and did a whole like Fargo accent.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
And just I can never do it again. But for a whole session, I was just crushing it.
Yeah, I was a 1930s Philadelphia news reporter once. Just like that was like someone inhabited my body with their soul, and I became that person for the entire. I would just interject with questions in that voice, and I have never been able to do it again.
Really good.
It's really great.
Really good.
AJ, to answer your question, though, I think there'd be little repercussions for doing an Italian accent. It seems like that's actually totally kosher nowadays.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't think the internet's going to come for you that one. But let me get this straight, though. Don't come for Christopher Columbus, and you know that, all right? You're from Philadelphia. You know, do not come.
There's a statue of Christopher Columbus down the street from where I live that is boxed up because they're afraid it's going to be vandalized. And there is an on-duty cop there all day, every day, just sitting in their car next to this boxed up fucking statue. It's fucking stupid.
I have a Columbus story too. There's a huge Christopher Columbus Day parade in Baltimore, Maryland every year on the day. And one year, because I'm a band director and I have a band director friend who broke her leg and needed someone to just like walk with her band that knew what they were doing. So I went and did it. And I'm not going to say where I live, but the my county, they have an Italian association or something. The blank county Italian association.
I love the way you're saying Italian.
Yeah, Italian. I don't know why it's coming out that way. But they had a float in this parade, and I kid you not, it was just like 14 old dudes in suits just fucking chiefing cigars through this parade. And that was all they had nothing to throw out. They had nothing to advertise.
Ashes.
They were just fucking there to hang and smoke some stogies. It was incredible.
Wow.
So we just fully stalling? We can keep stalling.
India's back. Go for it. Favorite coffee pastry, India.
So glad you asked. Actually, it's really funny that you bring this topic up because I just got out of a situationship with somebody that always took me to get breakfast pastries after hanging out. And
AJ, can we get a sound effect for that? That's what I want. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted.
So I want to say that I really fucking like not cinnamon rolls. In fact, I hate them.
What?
And what I do like is like, I don't know, maybe like a scone of some kind.
Scones are so
Not like a chocolate chip one, but like maybe like a lemon blueberry or something. Or a muffin. Actually, not a muffin. Definitely like a scone. Something that's not super sweet, but like a little bit sweet.
Yeah.
I make a cinnamon chip scone sometimes when I have a Sunday and I'm bored. Fucking incredible.
Yeah. Or like an almond croissant.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I just said the stuff you're eating with your coffee should be super sweet, but I fully agree, India. With a scone, like just like some sort of like fruity scone with coffee is just so good. Something about how dry a scone is, and then you're drinking coffee.
The thing I like about it is the dryness. I don't know if I want the sweet at all. Like, turn my mouth into a desert. Let me drink the coffee and let me get the day right.
But I think with the scone, and then with also like, the sweet glazed donut or whatever, the coffee is serving the same purpose of washing whatever the pastry is doing out of your mouth in a really pleasant way.
In fact, I kind of want coffee now, and I hate coffee. But anyway, this was a great opener, by the way, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought of it because I took a sip of coffee right before talking.
And don't forget to send us your Instagram replies on our Instagram. You make sure you hashtag JB's BJ.
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
we're good. All right.
My immediate thought was JB's
Josh Baker's Breakfast Jam. That's not bad.
Yeah,
there it is. Breakfast Jam.
There we go, Pete.
Ooh, my goodness, you guys are on a roll this morning. 7:30 who?
Also, for the record, shout out to my mom. What up? Mother's Day. Love you. Best mom.
I thought,
Mother's
Oh,
Day.
fuck.
If you have a mother that you have a good relationship with, go give him a big ol' smooch and a hug today. And if you don't, fuck her. You don't need her in your life. Unless she's tragically out of your life, in which case, I'm sorry. All right. Cover all my bases.
My God.
Really swerving all over the place.
Oh my God. We literally, the way that we just made some turns.
My neck hurts from the whiplash, baby.
Okay, we're going to move on to the chapter now. Chapter 9. Gaz the Punch Man considers the strange pattern his wife is making out of stones in the yard. He thinks to kill her soon, but will instead find another victim tonight to spare her for a time. Berethal has one interaction with a middle manager and becomes a libertarian. Together with Mallet, he plans how to break into the blacksmithing trade, legally or otherwise. At a sketchy estate filled with weirdos, Scorch and Left become house guards of a mysterious noblewoman. They rope Torvald into the scheme, though he has his suspicions. There's a great bit with Grieva worms and some weird medicine. Ivermectin, am I right, ladies? Murillo heads to Stani's dueling school to sell his services. Before being officially hired, word of Harlow's disappearance reaches them. Murillo offers his aid. Snow discreetly travels to the site of his attack on Harlow to find the body gone. He can't accept that he did something wrong, and convinces himself Harlow is setting him up. Gorlas leaves Chalice alone with his fellow council members while he visits his new mine. This dude's either a cuck or not into women. It's quite ambiguous. There's some stuff. Chalice thinks on how the night may go and can't make her mind up on what she would prefer to happen. Solara works her charms on Duiker to make him escort her to the Phoenix Inn, where Cutter and Kruppa are catching up. Gorlas gets filled in on a whole bunch of exposition by some unnamed workmaster. It clearly is setting up the next scene. What do you know? A scene in the mining camp featuring Harlow. He has flourished as a mole, getting into holes too small for others and making sure they're safe to excavate. On one trip recently, he received ancient tools from a Talani mask stuck in a cave with no legs. He promises to return. Everyone wants to hear about Solara's past. Cutter gets super embarrassed. The woman is crushing it. Chalice gets a little tipsy at dinner, where Orr angrily leaves. Chardon, the other council member, warns her that Orr is a dangerous man. He expresses his desire for Chalice to leave Gorlas and experience real freedom, instead of being an object to be owned. It's a real face turn for our boy Chardon. Chalice agrees. They fuck. Steve promises they fuck good. All right, that's chapter 9. Lots of stuff happening, lots of things getting set up. I'm gonna throw it first.
Do you know what I kind of thought during this whole Gaz section at the start?
I'd love to know.
It's kind of funny when you think about it, you know?
Come on.
Honestly, you guys, no, in fairness, not you guys being like, oh my God, he loves her and she doesn't love him. Meanwhile, he's like, I'm gonna kill her.
I never said it.
You all did. You all did. You said they loved
never like I was never on Team Gaz. You cannot put me in that boat.
I'm not putting any of you on Team Gaz. I'm just saying you were like, oh, it's so sad. Like he loves her and she hates him and he's a killer. And I was like, no, it's funny.
Well, and then she doesn't. He thought
my
she
team
hated
was that
him.
it is not a funny scenario, which I stand by.
Yeah, the scenario is weird because we the first time we get in his head, it feels like, or he thinks that she hates him, and then we get into her head and she's like, he really, he should. I'm holding him back, which is like what he thinks.
This guy sucks.
He's better off dead. I would like him to die, is what she said.
Oh, I forgot that. Oh, well, yeah, it does suck then. What
but
are you gonna
do? It's funny. It's comedy gold.
From a certain point of view, you know?
God. All right. Well, there's Gaz. I guess he's gonna go punch some more folks tonight. It doesn't come back up again for the time being. I want to move. Yes.
I just feel like there's like a type of barbarity in actually beating someone to death.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's a lot of,
especially with Nubs. He doesn't even have real hands.
Right.
It's so crude.
Yeah.
It's fucked. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I don't think there's any much else to be said about Gaz. He's still a very big question mark. So I'm going to move over to Berethal, having a incredible time with a middle manager, as I've labeled this person. AJ, how did you think this went for our good man Berethal, and how do you feel about his decisions afterwards?
I think this was hilarious. This scene was so funny. I mean, as far as what I think about him just being like, no, we're going to do it anyway. I think that's also very funny. Berethal setting himself up to be the comic foil to the rest of this book in a pretty interesting way, because I don't think Berethal's been played for laughs in the previous book at all.
No, for sure not.
So the fact that he is now just like here with, the ex-bridge burners and stuff and is kind of adapting that persona, I think is kind of funny.
Yeah. Do you feel as though we're setting up a way for his storyline to gracefully end, or do you think he's got more left in store for us?
No, I think he's gonna make this blacksmith or something, and then he's gonna make some crazy fucking weapon, because he made wasn't he the one that made Fiddler's crossbow, or is that somebody else?
No, that was some guy in Malazan.
Some other guy. But
yeah, he gets that during the ending of that book.
Yeah, but no, I think he's gonna, because he hasn't actually been smithing since we met him.
Yeah, accurate.
So I think he's going to get back to it, and he's just going to make, whatever these ex-bridge burners turn into, the Getabacchus equivalent of bone hunters. He's going to make them all their cool weapons, I think.
Interesting. Okay.
Or he's going to make Kalam a cool weapon. and that'll be it. And that'll be how their
dream.
Relationship gets I don't know, fixed or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I do find it very funny that this weird monopoly situation he has to deal with, where it's like you either need all of this money or a sponsor. You can't get a sponsor without money. You're too old to become an apprentice to get a sponsor. It's just, It is very poignant for many people trying to find a new career in 2022. It feels like. Also.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely commentary for sure. For sure.
And that's why, folks, if you can't get into that company, make your own. That's right. Small businesses are the heart of America.
Or I guess the Malazan Empire could make them open their business, which is presented as an alternative.
It is an alternative, and and I get why they didn't do it, because the Bridgeburners aren't really retired; they're dead, so they don't want to go back.
Yeah, I will just say I'm just putting my cards on the table. This is part of the book I love, and I love just kind of, I would say, the boots on the ground human stories in Darujistan here. Mm-hmm. I mean, like Stoney processing this trauma, Harlow goes missing, like what's going on with Marilios. I love all the Scalara stuff in this chapter. Diker working through his emotions, Berethal trying to start a business. This is all just really relatable human drama to me that I just feel like I'm this is I don't know. Could see so much of life in this, a lot more than sometimes than where, some, I don't know. I like the other stuff with the Andy as well, but it's very different. It's very I don't know.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is this type of human interaction versus the Andy speaking to each other with, thousands of years of webs. It is so refreshing to just see these guys talk to each other and interact.
And there's a purposeful contrast, which we can talk about, but I just wanted to express that I just love this. This is legitimately one of my favorite scenes in the book. I just think it's just great. I just love this scene. I love this storyline. So
glad to hear it, PB. So next up, India, coming to you. We see Scorch and Lef, the other two very comedic foils in this book. We see them start working at this sketchy estate. My question for you is, if you were Scorch or Lef, but you had your brain, at what point do you think you would have been like, actually, I'm going to go during this scene at this weird old estate?
I think I might leave either upon finding out that the person that I'm talking to wears a mask and will not show me their face, or when they're like, oh, you're sick and you need to take medicine.
Yeah.
Not take the medicine and be cool with it. Having nobody just goes up to you and says, oh, you have parasites. So that was disturbing. And that's when I would have left easily.
I think that is an incredibly reasonable response. Pete, what about you? Do you think you would have stayed through?
I would not stay, but my thought is this. Do you guys think you could con Scorch and Lef? Do you guys think if you met them, you would just start conning them?
For sure, I could.
I probably could, but that's never my first thought. How can I con this person? Yeah. Maybe I'm just a good person,
I too, you're right, India. I too would never do that. I could never con a person. I'm too kind and generous.
The books aren't even that long, Josh. It'll be fine.
They're like fantasy. You like fantasy, Josh.
Nice.
All right, so I think most of us would have escaped this. I do. Anyone have any thoughts on who this noblewoman from the outskirts could be?
No fucking clue, but I will say Studlock is too close to Spinnock, and I didn't like reading them because it's just another name that's too close to a different name. They were very clearly different people, but I saw this name and I'm like, well, this name is not going to stick.
Yeah, he's just traveling the continent casually. I will say a few of us, what did I say? A few of us, Pete, AJ, and I read Cracked Pot Trail, and now anytime that there is a secretive noblewoman, I do assume that it is our good friends Bocaline and Corbel Broach. So, not that I think it's them, but it could be.
You never know.
You never know. I don't read the cast of characters in the beginning anymore, just because I want to be surprised if someone just shows up like that. So. But that would be incredibly funny if it was them.
Yeah, that would be really good.
We go from there and we see Murillo at Stoney's school. It's a short scene, but I do like that Stoney's immediately like, hey, no charming here. And he's like, I can't help but charm, but also I'm good.
I don't fuck anymore, actually.
Yeah. Do you think you could fuck again if you got stabbed while fucking?
I think it would be a long road back. I think
it would be a tough time to be that vulnerable again.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, man. It depends on the situation of the stabbing, I feel.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess if I was like safely in my room with someone I trust, I would be less afraid that I'd get stabbed.
It's true. He was in an open courtyard or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Maybe, or like an open air bedroom.
Yeah.
So with an unlocked door.
I'm just saying, I don't really actually... I don't know, whatever. He's allowed to not bang. I'll let him process his trauma, you know. God bless.
Well, it seems like Murillo's the strict way that Murillo bangs is other people's significant others. So I think it's probably
it does happen that way a lot.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Do we see a budding relationship? Doesn't have to be romantic. Could be friendship. Do we see a budding relationship between Stoney and Murillo at all? Perhaps
for sure.
Anybody?
For sure. No, I am I'm excited for Murillo to come to help Stoney save Harlow, I guess, or something.
Oh, yeah. Them just fighting through the mining camp.
Yeah.
You know, he seems to be thriving in the mining camp.
He does.
Thriving?
He does.
I don't know if thriving is the exact word I would use, but...
He loves it, though. He's 5.
And see, that's the thing. Nowadays, I don't know. I know there's a lot of different talk, but I think when you are a kid and you have the opportunity to work in a labor camp, you learn a lot of valuable lessons. And I think you learn a lot of values that like just playing around in some preschool isn't going to teach you, you know? But
I've been saying
we
it for
were
years.
just talking about how like children shouldn't watch TV, and this could be the solution.
that's exactly
Send
right.
them to the
They
mines.
need to work.
Take
Yeah.
away that iPad and then send them into the textile factories. That's right, baby.
That would be. I didn't think that was the stance we were going to take this episode, but you know, I'm glad we put ourselves on the record here.
Well, see, Josh, it's kind of funny when you think about it, you know?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
All right, I'm going to move us past Snell. That's boring. I want to get into the wildest couple of scenes, which is the Chalice scenes in this chapter.
Can I just cut in? I like the Snell stuff, and I just want to shout out, I thought it was well written. I like the stuff, so I think...
It's well written. He's despicable.
But I don't know, just the writing in it is really good, and I think it's just an awesome passage, and I would pull quotes, but I can pull quotes. But anyway, you want to move on.
If you want to put if you have a quote to pull, go for it.
No, it's just I don't have it here on my hand, but I just wanted to shout it out. So I like the passage, and
it is very well written. Steve has done a great job of making me despise this 5-year-old boy, which is not admittedly difficult for me, but he did it even better than normal. So we have these few scenes. We learned last chapter that Gorlas has purchased a mine from the dude with the weird name.
Humble Measure,
who's trying to get the Malazans assassinated. So we know he bought a mine, and he's leaving Chalice alone and leaving her to entertain his 2 fellow council members. Indy, where are you at with Gorlas? Do you find him to be insufferable? Do you do you see where he's coming from? I don't know. He's a weird fella.
Yeah, I think of him as more of a vehicle for me to hear about Chalice. I don't like him at all. I think he's scummy. I just think that he's just but not in any particularly horrendous, you're the worst ever kind of scum. This is just a very, kind of like Peter said, real life, scummy thing to do. This is not let me use my hot wife to get gains. I think, Chalice is very much just a trophy wife kind of gal, and he's using her, and that's, I don't know. And I don't know, also the conversation that they've had about, her role, because she doesn't seem yes, she's a caged bird, but also she's but I'm gonna fuck. So, I don't know what their agreement here is, but yeah, I don't like him at all.
I don't know about everyone else. It does not feel like it's a verbal thing. It's more like he is just implying you will do what they ask of you, kind of thing. AJ?
Yeah, I think you're right, Josh. I think it's just kind of this is your role and you're just gonna do it, regardless of really how she feels about it. But I think she is also
strategic.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I think it's a strategic thing, and she sees the advantage of. Whether she knows it or not, forming these relationships, with other people, as kind of I don't know, maybe plan B, plan C situation or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there's at least one fool who would stab Gorlas for Chalice.
It's it's implied that what's his face is fully Chardon, fully down to do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think she was playing a game, and I think she seems to have played it well.
Playing the long game.
Right, exactly, yeah. I don't know if it started like that because, she grew up and she was this noble child and stuff, and she's just kind of doing what noble children are supposed to do, but it has definitely turned into that.
I mean, I would say probably most of them don't feel the need or pressure from their husband to use their body to facilitate political gain. I imagine it happens with a fair few.
A small number, right.
Yeah, you would hope most of them aren't having that happen.
Yeah.
Well, weird question, because Steve throws in weird lines sometimes that just kind of gets your brain going. And it's at the very tail end of the chapter. Do we feel like Gorlas just isn't into sex, or do we think he might not be into women? Because it is explicitly stated that he has never had sex with her in their entire time of marriage. He has used his hand, as was said, but like never actually done the deed. Do we feel like he's just doesn't feel the need because he's only hungry for power, or what? What's the vibe we're getting?
Maybe he recognizes that women don't come from penetration.
So you think he's a full-on feminist helping
feminist
explore her sexualization? I did not see this take coming.
He's just a giver at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to do with feminism. Maybe it's just he's a giver.
Yeah.
No, I think that he is only into, I think that he's just very much like a money-hungry person. I think that he has no sexual, desires beyond money.
That's the vibe I'm getting too. It's which is not a normal.
Isn't he the one who has this passage here where he's like, money's the only thing worth worshiping because you can worship it and it'll grow and yada yada yada.
That sounds like him.
Yeah.
So
he's a weirdo.
Believe that's him in this section.
Yeah. All right. And we'll get to the rest of that later. We move over to Scylla and Haboric, my new favorite duo.
Scylla and Duiker. Haboric is deceased.
That's what I said. Scylla and Haboric.
That's what I said.
No, I wrote Haboric. Oh no, I said Haboric in the fucking thing. I need to go back and change that to Duiker in the voiceover.
Here, wait, you want to just get a clean one right now?
Yeah. Scylla works her charms on Duiker to make him escort her to the Phoenix Inn, where Cutter and Kruppa are catching up.
Nice. I think part of me just wants to leave that there.
Pause.
I love that.
Nice.
Scylla, always a great character, just awesome in these scenes. She's just great here.
Yeah. So these scenes happen, and I'm just gonna combine this with like the them getting there scene.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about Scylla that just kind of draws attention to her? Like she's so good at it. Like what is? Do you think there's a key trait she has that gets people interested?
To me, she's very self-assured. She knows who she is, and even though she has these questions she's working through, and I think has problems she's working through, I feel like she's always had a real sense of self-identity. So maybe that's it for me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
That feels pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think self-assuredness is a great way to describe my feelings about it as well.
Yeah.
Like it just always feels like no matter how like out of hand a situation is, she always kind of has a grasp on it, I don't know. I don't feel like we've ever read a Scylla passage where it's like, oh man, she's losing it or something, The closest we got was when I think when they came back to Drujistan and Cutter was like leaving her and she's like, okay, well, I guess I have to find somebody else to love. Like that was the farthest I think we've ever seen her pushed. But even in that moment, she was like, okay, well, here, let's make a plan. Here we go. Here's what I need to do to, do whatever. So I guess her stuff has always felt like there's a strong sense of direction, I feel like. And I don't know, it feels like it's disconnected from the rest of the plot because she is just doing her own stuff, and that's not like in a good way. Like, I mean that in a good way.
Guys, I have a kind of a different take.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. I love Scylla. I'm going to put that out there. This is like when you're talking shit about a friend with other friends and you're like, let me shit sandwich this. I love her so much. Great character. And I agree, with kind of, I don't really think that she is self-assured or really. I think that she's more so just like a person that has dealt with a lot of shit. So she's probably very resilient. I wouldn't say self-assured. And the reason being is that the one pitfall I see in her character development is that she does always need to be with a man, whether it was Haboric, Cutter, now Duiker, that doesn't really go along with being very self-assured, and I think, she had a rough go of it. I think that she being with a man makes her probably feel safe. And that's my take. I love her character, though. I think she's awesome.
And even
but I do.
What, AJ?
Well, and even before she came to Duiker, she was with Berethal. So that's
right.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Pete?
Well, I guess my question is: are those two things really mutually exclusive?
Yes, I think they are.
Okay, why do you think that, Ange?
Because I don't think I think that to be self-assured and comfortable in your own skin, you don't always need to be following a man.
Do you think she's following the men? I feel like the men are following her sometimes.
But she's gathering them. She's making a point to get them.
We don't have, but she doesn't have to be this powerful woman. At the end of the day, she was raped for mad long and got her clit cut off as a child. How can you expect a person like that to be an independent woman? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with what you said there, Ange. I mean,
I just don't think that she's a very self-assured character. I think that she's probably just very my life was really, really bad and now it's not that bad. You got to think about where she's come from to where she is now and then compare. Mm-hmm. I think. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Also, she had that whole baby. Her life is trauma. She seems fucking funny because of trauma. Mm. You know how we all get that way. Trauma makes us funny.
I mean, Ange, I guess I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but maybe we actually disagree about this. I mean, I agree with what you said initially. I do think she obviously has a lot of perspective and experience, and she's a very resilient person, that she's suffered all of this stuff and has managed to, kind of maintain a sense of self and kind of survive, which going through that type of intensity, I think is really, surviving is kind of, a really powerful thing in a way. So I don't know. What
is her sense of self to you though? Who is she to you? What do you think that because that's my thing is who is what is her personality? What do we know about her really? What about her is so self-assured? What does she do? What has she done? Well, survived?
Yeah, but her being a survivor is a part of her personality. I mean, I think if you talk about how she talks in Bone Hunters with that kind of other crew of sad people, I think she is this kind of voice of not necessarily selfishness, but about the necessity of survival and what you need to do to survive. I think that's in contrast there. No,
I agree with that. I do. And I don't not like her character. I love her character. I just don't think that she's necessarily this independent, very impressive, self-assured. I think she's an impressive character based on her trajectory and what brought her here. But I also just feel I don't know, I'm not super oh my God, she's so independent. Look at her go.
Well, I don't know if it's about independence. Yeah. I guess I'm contrasting her with someone like Cutter, who I would say, is going through.
This is your favorite character.
I know. But what I mean is if you go through contrast her and the Cutter or these other characters that have all these identity crises, it's who am I? What am I about? How am I going to live life? I don't see a Scalara as someone who has great questions about her identity or how the world works or how she's going to live. I think she understands because of all this trauma, how the world works, how she is going to live and kind of what that means to her. That's my reading.
I agree with that. And I also think that Cutter is a hard comparison because as a character, Cutter is just a whiny little fucking baby. So,
well, because he's defined by his lack of
right. So it's hard to compare, but yeah, I guess I agree with that. I do think that her life experience has made her definitely more, I guess, self-assured.
But I think we're in agreement. It's more about survival and perspective and not oh, I'm some strong whatever,
Yeah, she's not a boss babe or anything.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's
she's
about
just
that.
making it she's just living her life. She's just, I don't know.
But I think the she's doing the stuff she needs to do, but I think that's what the self-assuredness is. It's even though she feels maybe she does need a man or another person in her life to help her live the life she wants to live, at least she knows that. You know what I mean? She is pursuing that. But situation.
Then what's the difference between her and Chalice, in that way? I guess
there's a big difference between her and Chalice.
I don't what go.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I just think they have really different trajectories. I mean, Chalice is a noble woman who's marrying for status and wealth in a sense. and like in a position of courtship. And I mean,
but isn't she marrying for like life? Like, isn't she just trying to like have a life worth living, Chalice?
I don't know. I think it's tough because we only have her perspective in this book about like why she pursued this marriage with Gorlas.
Well, I think ultimately it wasn't her choice, right? Like she had already been betrothed to him or whatever in Gardens of the Moon, right?
Yeah, I believe we see her winning the betrothment. Gorlas winning the betrothment is my memory. Or we see the first step of that or something.
Yeah,
I
so
kind
it's
of forget
not.
how
It's not like she made this conscious choice. It's just kind of was thrust upon her, and she's just like, yeah, okay, now I have to make the best of this.
I do think she accepted it, though, is my memory.
Sure, but just because she's accepting it doesn't mean that it wasn't like a pressured decision or something, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I kind of forget, to be honest. I don't know. I just think there's a difference. And I think if like Scolara, you know, wants to spend time with men or lovers or companionship, I don't think that like makes her less. I don't think that makes her weaker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Josh, how are you feeling?
You know, the mark of a great host is one that can just let their guests just sort of do the work for them.
Yeah.
I just really quickly, I'm so sorry, Josh. Just
you're
really
fine.
Quickly,
go for it.
I think that's true, but I also think that maybe that's my own like bias, like thinking growing up, like being told like you have to like, I just feel like we all were told like independent women don't need no man. And so that's very much in my head when I'm thinking about how she hops around.
Yeah, well, no, you're touching on something really interesting there, which I don't know. Part of me is like, how much like.
No, let's move on. Let's move on, guys.
But India, I 100% agree. I do think there is a narrative that it is like women are stronger if they're independent, which there's a lot to unpack there, and I think. It's almost too much.
That's on a different episode.
Exactly. So I acknowledge India. Yes, that is a point, but I don't think Scolara, you know, I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm going to move us on. I love this conversation. Feel free, write in to 10verybigbooks@gmail.com with your thoughts also.
Or send us a text to 55.
God damn it.
522 butts.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just breeze through the rest of this chapter. We have a mine scene. We get an exposition for the mines, which of course we have to have that before we just, you know, hard cut to Harlow. So I'm gonna skip to the hard cut to Harlow. He is thriving we didn't like the word thriving. He is succeeding as a mole in these mining camps. He's quite good at it. He's made a great friend whose name I didn't bother to remember, so I'm sure he'll come back later. But the most important thing is earlier on the day that we are seeing Harlow, he has met an ancient Talon-I Mass from the times of Raced's original, thing. So how much must it suck, guys? How much must it absolutely blow ass to like give up your soul in exchange for an immortal body, but like also someone could just take your legs or like break them in half and then you're kind of fucked forever.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm excited though that he asked for splints because I can only assume that means he's going to put his legs back together and then just kind of get out there into the world and do him.
Part of me is confused. Couldn't he just turn to dust and blow away?
You know, Talon-I Mass don't make any sense. They're kind of bullshit. So.
Well, I guess he was surprised that he's alive, so maybe he doesn't know his powers or whatever.
It could be, yeah, he might be. It's really hard to tell with Talon-I Mass.
Actually, do we think this guy's like some super secret, like crazy evil person, and he was like buried alive right as the ritual happened?
Anything is entirely possible, AJ. Ugh. Again, they're in these people are inscrutable.
Yeah.
So, I think the only thing I would say that I am curious about really is the fact that this guy, wish I remembered his name. Sorry, folks.
Devad Anan Toll? Or are you talking about the Talon-I Mass?
The Talon-I Mass, yeah.
It's Devad Anan Toll. So
it's really good. I love that he's like, they imprisoned me. I was too far ahead. And like, he was so old, like he fucking invented the wheel probably. Yeah. Like, I love that he's like, let me come and have my inventions. And it's going to be like, 2,000 years too late. I would really love that.
Yeah,
very funny.
I really love the moment where he like sees the lantern and it's like, oh, this fucking rules, dude. This is sick as shit. And Harlow's like, let me take you out into the world. And he's like, there's no fucking way I'm ready to see the world yet. I'm surprised at this lantern. So maybe give me, which I appreciate that self-awareness, you know, being able to know like I can't handle seeing the fucking sun. Just leave me down here a little bit longer.
Yeah, and the rest of the scene just kind of has Harlow kind of get back. He hides those tools the Talani mask gave him, promises to make explain. There are hints that there are some camp bullies who will be a problem for him, and we'll see how that goes. There's nothing to talk about yet until that actually happens.
Who
and that brings
bullies
us to
a fucking 5-year-olds, though? I'm so sorry. Who bullies a 5-year-old? It's so weird. This is so weird.
Kids with a lot of anger.
That's it.
Yeah, they can't. The answer is 10-year-old child slaves. They like
fair.
Yeah.
They gotta exert power where they can.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I know we kind of rushed through it. I did like the scene with Diker when I think Scalara is like, oh, you're the guy who lived through the chain of dogs. And he goes, no, not really.
Yeah. He's like, actually, no, I died.
Yeah. That's a great line. And that brings us to the final scene of Chalice getting way too wine drunk. Look, everyone's done it at least once in their life. You skip the hors d'oeuvres. You're confident you're going to be fine. What's that? The fish is taking a little too long to come out. You're on your 4th glass. Whoops, all wine in your tummy. We've all been there. But I really liked it because it made all of the shit that went down very confusing because she was incredibly confused. So I thought it was like when she's like, "Oh my god, Orr has just left." I was like, it caught me off guard too. Almost like the narrator is drunk as shit. So I thought it was pretty funny. Where are we at? Do we have a good understanding? Did we, before this scene, have any understanding of the 2 other council members?
Not that I know of, but I don't remember anything.
Fair. I didn't have any clue on either of them. AJ?
Yeah, we saw the scene of them. I don't remember if it was the last section or the end of book 1. There's a scene with Gorlas and the 2 of them speaking about their plan, but really it just seemed like Hannah and Chardon Lim were just like flunkies or something. They didn't really seem much like they were up to anything.
That's exactly how I felt. It was a big shock, to just learn that one of them's maybe a crazy guy who wants to kill everyone, and then the other one's like kind of good. I don't know. It was it felt rushed to me how quickly we were supposed to form full opinions on these people that we had only seen like in a group before. I don't know if you felt the same, AJ, in India, but it did. The scene was weird. I thought overall the scene was a little weird and very fast.
Yeah, I feel like all the scenes with Gorlas and the other 2 guys are just like, I don't know what's going on really.
Yeah.
Because it's like when like Shadowthrone and Cotillion are talking, you know, like they have a plan and they know what it is. So they're not going to obviously explain the plan to us. And so there's like parts of they're just like saying stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't know, whatever. You made this plan already. Why don't we just go and, why don't we just go and do this stuff? I don't.
India, all 3 of the people, Gorlas, Orr, and Chardon, they have all equal at times expressed that they are completely convinced that they are the best duelist in the city and that they would kill the other 2 in an instant. How do you feel about men and their confidence levels in life and these books?
Nice.
Oh my god. I hate them. I think that toxic masculinity has really, really instilled a sense of false confidence in a lot of young boys growing up.
Yes.
It's sad to me. It's sad to me because, they'd rather just die than say, maybe I'm not the best duelist.
They're in the man box.
100%.
And I'm just so happy that I'm not Chalice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
That is a fair point.
However, Chardon.
Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem so bad.
It's tough because we're only seeing.
Not all men.
It's tough though, India, because like our only interaction with him one-on-one is with Chalice, like real drunk and self-admittedly already horny. Like
I know, and men lie. They all lie.
That's
men do lie.
I just don't know if it's a play or not.
I don't know.
It's such a play. That's the problem. You never know.
Steve explicitly says like that, like when she's like, let's go to bed, that he looks visibly surprised that that's what she wanted to do. But also like, it's so tough because like Chalice is a super unreliable narrator right here because she is real fucking drunk. Now at one point Steve's like, she felt suddenly sober with the turn of it. But it's like, come on. I don't know. So I'm curious to see if he is the noble that he seems to be, but that will remain to be seen.
Yeah.
I too think it is sad that these men can only express themselves through boasting about their dueling skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just really love Chalice, and I love her parts, and I love her almost as much as Croca's here. I mean, I think this scene is just kind of masterful for a lot of the reasons we're dancing around. And I think it's like, is she being an unreliable narrator? Is he playing her? Is she playing him? Is Gorlas playing her? It's all of these questions. And we have inklings in several different ways. And I think it's kind of really well drawn where we're in Chalice's point of view, but we're kind of kept at a certain distance, but we also get to know. It's like you learn a really kind of just the perfect amount. So I think it's a great scene.
I do also wonder with how quickly Orr leaves and then Chardon just fully has a reason for it. Like, there is a part of me that's like, was the whole thing choreographed of him trying to paint Orr badly to get her on his side? I don't know. There are many questions left after this.
Yeah.
It's a very good scene. Weird fucking scene, but real good.
Yeah. Pete, I didn't realize it until just right now, but you're saying earlier about, the stories in this chapter being very like just like human and just like on the ground, and I didn't notice it in the moment, but as we're going back and talking about the rest of this chapter, I'm like, man, this was a really good chapter. Because as I was reading it, I think I was like, this is kind of mundane, but now having talked through it, it's like, oh no, this is actually like good because it's mundane.
But this is the mundane is what I love.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's really, it's a big juxtaposition with the next chapter we're about to get to, which is the almost exact opposite.
Right.
And I do think it's, obviously
Purposeful.
It's not, but because especially the Andy stuff is like, well, let's get into it. There's a whole.
All right, let's do it. We're moving on to chapter 10, folks. Here we go. We're entering. What will be the shitty radio thing to say for like the second half?
Actually, Josh, excuse me. After you're not up to date with the Fast and Furious, this is actually chapter X. Is what we're going into.
You're right. You're so right. We're entering chapter X.
Before we
X-rated.
Before we do, Josh, we'd love to just thank our Patreon sponsors.
Yes,
I'll thank them, but I will do it in a shock jock voice. What's up, all you beautiful people? That's right, it's time for the Patreon thank yous.
Patreon thank yous.
This week, we'd like to thank Alex, Daniel, Alan, Corporal Herb, and Jared. Jared's fucking crazy. You guys don't even know.
If you'd like to join the dog pound on our Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. And for just $1, you can get access to all our raunchiest bonus stuff that we save for the private feed.
Emphasis on the bone.
Including an uncut episode. Pete, do you want to get in on this?
I'm really good out here.
Okay.
I gotta be honest with you.
Thank you all so much for the support. We appreciate it a lot. Let's move on.
All right. Chapter 10. Endest Salon reaches the river he has traveled to, but is disappointed to find it less similar to that of his memories than he'd hoped. He comes across Kaladin Brood, who seems to be waiting for him. This plot thread is so fucking opaque, it drives me crazy. Samar Dev and Traveler see signs of Karsa's passing. They continue on and find some of the recently freed slaves, who point them towards Karsa, and tells them that he wields a blade of flint to everyone's relief. They soon reach Karsa, who hugs Samar fondly. He challenges Traveler to a battle for Samar's heart, which is adorable, but she reminds everyone that she don't need no man, so they can both back off. They all head to Darujistan because this is a Malazan book. We all need to end up in the same place by the end of it. Selind, High Priestess of the Redeemer, has strange visions and awakens the temple of the Tissi Andi. She speaks with Spinnock, and they agree she should rest before returning to the barrow. Spinnock seems hurt by Selin's connection with her god. Seardoman absolutely annihilates some fools who conspire against Rake and the Andy. As he leaves the former keep of the seer, he is watched by rats. Namander's group enters Bastion, which is strangely empty. They post up in an abandoned inn that seems to hold supplies left for them. Namander and Skintick note a strange contraption that has crashed in the city, that Kalor identifies as K'chain Shamal in origin. The duo explore the city, but are stopped by an angry mob in front of the temple, their destination. Kalor moves through the crowd, seeking an audience with the crippled god. Namander and Skintick return to the inn. They plan to try and sneak past the mob and face the crippled god directly. Crone and Rake talk, but it's all nonsense. The end. So, I just want to say overall, I find it really interesting when I was writing this whatchamacallit, summary. So this chapter is not short, but like the things that happen in it are like pretty succinct when you summarize it. I thought it was interesting how like much into detail some of these things went for the amount of things that happened. Because we saw last chapter, sometimes Steve just gets right into it, and he's got a chapter that's got like 12 different plot lines. So it's a testament to him. So we first get to what I would call the most infuriating plotline so far in this book, which is Endus Salon and his nonsense. And the fact that Kaladin Brood is just here chilling by a river, disbanded his army, and is just sort of hanging out. Pete,
what up?
What are your thoughts on Kaladin Brood overall?
Cool guy. I like him, and I like when he shows up in the book.
That's great. I like
Whenever he shows up, I'm like, cool, he can hang out more. He is the most reminiscent of cool World of Warcraft characters I like.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
I picture him as a Warcraft character with like a huge hammer or something, even though 100%. I know it's a regular size hammer.
He does have is it a regular sized hammer?
I think it's a regular sized hammer. He is just like magic or something.
Well, it's not like a house hammer, right?
No, sorry. It's like a regular Warhammer size thing.
Okay.
It's not like, a fucking World of Warcraft,
I could see
9 foot
myself,
tall, 400 pound.
I could see myself taking the Skylift up to Thunderbluff and like really just hanging out with him in his little hut.
Yes. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. He definitely has huge horde energy.
Taking me back,
for
dude.
sure. Yeah.
They're hanging out at the river and they're having a classic Malazan cryptic opaque conversation about ideas. So
classic
forgiveness.
And AJ, how often do you see a body of water and think to yourself, God, that's just like the body of water I saw 1,800 miles away? I wonder, could it be? Do you find yourself doing that often?
I don't know if a lot of people know this. Philadelphia is next to a river.
Go Birds.
The Delaware River. Go Birds.
Whoa, yeah.
Gross river, full of stuff. Really sad, honestly.
It's also nothing like the Dorson Rill.
It's also nothing like the Dorson Rill, but sometimes I'll look at it and I'll go, is it?
Right?
So.
Well, and then you could also look at the other river that's around Philadelphia, which is as shittily named as most Malazan.
The Schuykill. Yeah, that's right.
If you told me the Schuykill was a river in Malazan, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Josh, you don't pronounce the H. It is just Schuykill.
Schuykill?
No, Schuykill.
Josh, you said the H again.
Sechukal?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, you're trolling me.
Skook.
Famously, I've refused to pronounce the Susquehanna River's name correctly. Mostly because that's how I read it the first time, was Susquehanna. And it upsets every native Marylander I've ever met. And therefore, I will never stop doing it.
That's really funny.
Legendarily, one time you were coming into Philadelphia to visit us, Josh, and you were like, yeah, so it came in, and it was the first time ever I took the Schuykill Expressway, and it was kind of a terrible road. It took me a really long time.
I remember this exact trip, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, Josh, you shouldn't have taken that road. That is famously like the worst fucking road in all of Philadelphia.
It was a nice ride, but I was like, this is so inefficient. There's a light road every 10 seconds. Yeah, it was awful.
Anyway, let's get out of Philly traffic talk. But Josh, have you considered the river is maybe a metaphor?
Is it like, his past life and being able to traverse his memories? I don't know. It fucking sucks.
A river's constantly changing, Josh. It's never the same river. So no matter how much you want it to be the same river, even if it is the Dorson Rill, it's a different river than it was,
That's not really what I was going for, but sure, let's do that. Whatever, rivers.
So India, I'm done with this. India,
Yeah.
do you think are you of the same opinion as me, which is that Samardev, Traveler, and Karsa would be the power throuple that this continent fucking needs?
Yes.
Right?
That's such a good thought.
What could stand in their path?
Nothing. And they have the Samar Dev like logical part. Traveler's pretty I don't really know how I feel about Traveler. Travelers and Karsa will just bring the fire.
It's almost, you could say Karsa's kind of like hot iron, and Traveler might be sort of like a colder version of that same iron.
Here's the thing, though. Samar Dev and Traveler, maybe. I don't think Karsa would go poly. He doesn't seem like that type of guy to me.
No, he immediately threatened to kill Traveler. So
I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I was like, Karsa will fuck. Karsa will fuck anyone.
I think if it was framed correctly, I think he would do it.
Yeah. But
I just don't think he would be in an open relationship. That doesn't sound like Karsa to me.
I don't think it's opened though. I think it's just a solid closed off throuple.
Yeah.
It's a closed three.
It's a polycule. I mean, I don't know if it's technically a polycule if it's still just 3 people, but
I have never heard that word in my life.
Polycule. Yeah.
AJ just made it up.
What's a monocule then? If there's a mono,
probably that's just you being one person.
Right, you being one person.
It came up with monocule, so close.
Look, I didn't make the words up, man. That's just.
I feel like our first segment was way more on topic, and we are struggling to even get into this chapter.
Polycule is a connected network of people in non-monogamous relationships. Interesting.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, anywho, we see them doing some stuff. Karsa's just continuing to slow. Why do you think people attack Karsa still, who have ever met him once?
He's so big. He's just so big.
He's so big.
I think it goes back to what India said of like, I have to prove I'm the strongest, even though I am clearly not.
Yeah. Like, look, guys, if I am teaching at my school and all of a sudden we're in a faculty meeting and someone walks in the door and my principal's face just starts leaking blood, I am doing whatever the fuck that new person asks me to do. All right. It's like there is no harder way to enter a meeting than just making the leader's brain explode.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
I never have the impulse like, oh, that dude is huge, I should fight him.
Yeah, I've never thought that in my whole life, actually.
Well, that's because y'all got as a shorter fellow myself, there are a subset of shorter dudes who have what I have dubbed little man syndrome, which is the intense need to be mad at taller people.
I've seen videos of this in action, not of you, just of some shorter men.
I worked with a guy. I'm 5'7". I'm not a tall man, and I worked with this kid once when I was in high school who was 5'5", and he wanted to fight me every fucking day, and it was so bizarre to me. I never understood it.
That's tough.
I mean, he was also fucking jacked because he was a varsity wrestler, like state ranked, and I was like, you don't need to prove anything. I'm a band kid. Like, I don't know what this whole thing is.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight you, sir.
Right. Right.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
It's almost like violence is the only language some people are taught to communicate in,
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's true.
Pete, I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you heard of toxic masculinity, folks?
I fucking love
Today's episode is
people.
brought to you by the letter T.
Yeah, we've crossed the hour mark, so now this is the next show on the radio station, and it's a children's educational.
Right. So, AJ, this scene ends with a classic Malazan trope. Isn't it impressive that that a series can be so ridiculous that it builds its own tropes throughout? But we have the trope now of this group just deciding for whatever reason to go to the same place most of the other plot lines are happening in. And my question to you is, how long does Karsa exist in Darujistan before he murders somebody?
That is a tough question, I think. Because I don't know. I mean, because with the what were they? The Skithandi, he just like showed up, and when they even say like he didn't like he didn't make the effort to kill anybody. He just showed up and was like, "You're free now. Get fucked."
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to be the situation of Darujistan, and he's not going to fight unless he's fighting back or whatever.
And there are no, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, there are no explicit, like there's explicitly not slavery in Darujistan, but there is in the mining camps in a way, correct?
My understanding is Harlow a slave?
Yeah.
Can he leave?
Well, okay.
He's 5.
Yes. I know what you mean. Obviously.
He's property. He was bought. He's a slave. He was bought.
At a minimum, Pete, he is a prisoner.
Yeah.
But without
I know. I guess that I'm getting pretty pedantic over
You
what
are
we
getting
mean by
extreme.
slave.
I'm just like, this seems like a weird hill to die on.
Yeah.
Is the
What does it
5-year-old working in a
mean
mine
to be a slave?
I will be crucified on this hill and shot through the head with an arrow before I admit he's not a slave.
You know, I heard that slavery wasn't even real. Slavery never happened.
Okay, India.
Well, the thing is, it's like the slaves had their own houses. They like had songs. They had priests.
Oh,
like,
no. Cut. Cut it all.
Literally, though, wait, just so sorry. Sorry to digress. I need to talk about this very quickly. I went to Andrew Jackson's Hermitage, and literally what you just said, Peter. They had houses, they had culture, they made it work. Literally was like on the plaque outside of where the plantation was. I was like, what the Oh, it was a surreal experience.
Imagine being that.
Oh, dead ass. That's one of those things. Lots of people, weird Southern slavery apologists will say. You know,
they were like, they said horrible things about Andrew Jackson. I'm like, he was a horrible person.
Yeah.
But wow. Yeah. So that was that. Anyway, sorry. Harlow is high key a slave.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, okay. All I meant in regards to the legality of slavery, I don't know. I couldn't tell you the answer. So I'm not sure. What's tripping me up is I know there's this whole plot line in House of Chains where there's the slaves, because there's slavers in the North who enslave them, right?
Oh, yeah. You're right. In Upper Ganabacus. That's where Karsa is.
And then the Malazan Empire catches them and are like, slavery is illegal here. They're prisoners now, and we're sending them to our prison labor camp,
right?
Which is legal.
Yeah, Torvald and Karsa have a whole conversation about that, don't they?
Yeah, it's like totally different. Don't think about it, the prison labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the extent of slavery in Darujistan? I couldn't tell you, but yes, the mine is bad. Is that what you want me to say?
No, yeah, I was just kind of trying to think about it because, Karsa typically doesn't, indiscriminately murder unless there is slavery, in which case then he 100% will if needed.
Yeah, but I guess...
Also, you can't get me. I'm anti-chattel slavery. My official position, 2020.
That's so brave of you.
Yeah.
That was brave. That was brave. That was funny. You guys are so funny this morning, guys. I'm really loving our conversation. Josh always has like the best sessions with us.
Wow, bro. I hosted like 100 episodes of the show.
It's okay. Mine are the worst.
Josh, to go back to your original question of how long does it take Karsa to kill someone, I honestly have no idea. Truly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it changes. I think he kills people differently.
Yeah, because I think we saw somebody see Mappo and be like, oh my God, he's so big. So I think if Karsa comes in who is bigger than Mappo, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be like mass hysteria or something, but I don't think he's going to kill anybody until he talks to... If anybody's going to try and kill him, it's going to be like Vorkan or something, or like whoever's the current head of the guild, quote unquote.
Fair. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. I guess, look, we'll have to see. Who knows how long it takes them to get there, so.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted on the record, it was so sweet that Karsa hugged Samar Deb and immediately was like, now I'm going to kill Traveler for you.
Yeah, dude.
Loved that for them.
I love a big hug,
I fucking ship them so bad.
Me too. I want her to just melt in his arms so badly.
I want him to melt in her arms.
Nice.
True. Kind of difficult. I don't even know if she can fully grasp him.
She probably can't. She definitely can't.
That also seems like a toxic masculinity thing. Like he just needs to find the right woman, Mm-hmm. But anyway,
he does. That's what we're taught.
Because then that puts the responsibility on her to fix him, which is not her responsibility.
Then he'll stop his murders.
Right. Anyway,
it's her fault. It is her fault. She lets him do it.
Yeah.
Anywho, all right. So we leave there and we go back to Black Coral for a little bit. I'm really excited actually for Black Coral finally. I could not have given two shits, but I'm very excited that we see Celind kind of embrace her role as whatever the fuck she is, because religion in this goddamn universe is so hard to understand, but she's the high priestess, or maybe in the house, I don't know. But she's seeing visions. She's doing some cool shit. The Tisty Andy priestesses were great. And then she immediately hurts all their feelings by being like, I had a vision from God. What did you guys think about this scene? Where are you seeing Celind right now? Are you excited to see her embrace this new role or what? It's not a great question, but we're going to go with it. Now I'm going to rephrase the question. India, if you suddenly felt the presence of pregnant mothers walking through your body and you could feel the unborn embryo fetuses in there, how would you feel upon waking up?
Confused. And also, like, why is this happening? She's a priestess, so is this like, are we learning? Is something supposed to be happening here? Like, or is it just a dream, like a regular ass dream?
There's no such thing.
Yeah, the best I can get at India, all right? And this is just because this is as much as I got. So we've not really seen a new ascendant be born necessarily, right? So I think other than maybe there was hints that Apsalar kind of was. But anyway, so like it looks like Kovian may become like a legit full-blown ascendant, and we know that most ascendants have roles beneath them that sort of confer some sort of special powers typically. And so Kovian being so new as the Redeemer, it to me feels like whatever this girl's name is, I've just said it, Celind is going to become like the priestess of the Redeemer, like a proper noun priestess. So that's as much as I can get. And if that is what happens, then she will almost assuredly be getting some sort of, this is like her ability. Maybe she's like the priestess of mothers or something. About as much as I got. AJ, does that feel right to you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, we've never actually seen someone become ascended, so we don't really know exactly the process. I would say the closest we got to like seeing someone become a high priestess was last book with Featherwitch.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
But that was, I think, a very different situation. Where this one is more like it feels like whatever power Kovian the Redeemer has, he's like seeking her out instead of the other way around.
Yeah, and this seems to be like the ascendant choosing rather than Featherwitch being like, it's me now.
It's me, surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I love it. I mean, I've been all in since we arrived at the Barrow of the Redeemer. I was like, okay, we're gonna bring back one of my favorite fellas in some form or whatever. So I'm psyched on this. I'm really hyped on this.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And now she does have some real confidence here that she's going to just get Seerdom in.
Yeah.
And Pete, is that how you felt upon pressuring us so many times to do this podcast? You were like, this time's the charm.
I did not pressure you. I would say I asked once, and we all really did not understand what we were going to do. So
yeah,
that's really fair.
In fact, Pete, I would like to just piggyback off Peeb. When they asked me to do this, I actually was like, I'd be offended if you didn't ask me. So
yeah.
That's where I stood on that front. I'm just going to throw that out there. I've completely sealed my own fate in this mess that I'm in. I love so much.
You see, Josh, this prison we found ourselves in is actually nobody's fault.
It's a prison of our own creation.
It really is when you look at it that way.
I love that. I love how we talk about this, like as if we all don't get up bushy-tailed on a Sunday.
We organically created a Malazan podcast, and no one in particular came up with the idea.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was my idea, to be honest.
Now that you're saying it, I do think India came up with the idea. I think India said, Peter, you read those Malazan books, didn't you? I've been meaning to start a podcast.
I really loved to get into fantasy with the hardest fantasy novels. I feel like, why not? Yeah. Really, I just wanted to meet Steve.
Yeah, she saw some pics online and was like, well, what's the fastest way to meet this fella?
Well, we got to start a long podcast.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, and then, so this is the scene. I mean, it seems very important. I think it's a pivotal moment for this plot line, but, like, we're not going to know the ramifications for a little bit. And then we move on to Seerdom. Now, I believe AJ made a call, maybe it was India, but I believe it was AJ just stated as fact, like, chapter 1, oh, this Seerdom, it must be the one that was with Tak. Was it you who made that call?
No.
One of us has brought up this Seerdom being, or maybe Pete spoiled it.
It's all Peter's fault.
It's something.
I thought that That there was only one Seerdaman, and then we talked about that.
That's what it was.
Yeah, okay.
And you had thought that because of that, this must have been the one that was at the top. And it is revealed here in this chapter right now. It was, in fact, we didn't get there the correct way, but we did get there. So yes,
we love a cold shot. We love a cold shot.
So we learned that this Seerdaman was, in fact, the one who helped out Tok as much as he could. And he feels great remorse about it, and in some ways wishes he had just let Tok die quicker.
It's so sad.
It is. Especially fucking knowing that Tok dies anyway, Steve.
Wait, that's so true. That is so upsetting. But I remember when that happened, just very quickly, I digress. I remember when Tok went and was like, everybody has like too much power and I'm a weak link. Mm-hmm. And then fucked himself. So I just want to toss that out there. But the Seerdaman, that was like, what were they doing to help him?
I think they were just scooting him a little farther away or doing, I can't remember. Or
why was they there with the mother? What the fuck?
Oh, I don't remember. That was book 3, India. That's
this
so
is
long
so
ago.
Crazy. This is so crazy.
The seer was mad at Tok for infiltrating or something and getting that close or whatever, and would just punish him by doing that. I can't remember exactly. Pete, do you remember? Can you share?
It doesn't matter
what the Seerdaman was doing. Okay,
doesn't even matter. Doesn't even fucking matter. Was just curious.
All right, I guess we'll leave it then.
unless you know, like it's like off the top of your head, but I feel bad making everybody like think because I'm not thinking. I could think about it. Yeah.
We're good. Right. Let's move on.
We move on. There's some cryptic thing about some rats watching him, and there's some rat priest that has never been introduced, and it's just kind of named, and we're supposed to be like, ooh, the rat priest. So we'll see about that.
I don't know. I loved that. They had said monk rat in previous chapters. I don't remember in what context, but the fact that monk rat...
Did they?
I believe so. It didn't sound unfamiliar to me.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just forgot.
Or maybe it was just in this chapter, and I was like, yeah, this rules. Because I love the idea. It's always the Malazan naming bullshit is either like, here's Barrel, Boral, and Barrel. Or here is fucking like truck driver. His name is truck driver. And surprise, he drives a truck.
That's so
when they were
so
like,
true.
yeah, his name's Monk Rat because he's a monk of rats. Like, it's so good and so dumb, but I love it a lot. I really, really love it.
No, you're so right. That's well, look, I have no idea what it's about, so I'm excited to see where this monk rat goes.
Yeah, me too.
We get to the final important scene. I'm gonna go right to the last scene. I'm not gonna talk about the Cronin Rake talk. It's nonsense. So, just for all intents and purposes, the final section of this chapter for our podcast is the Bastion scene. So we get in there.
I'm just going to up front and say, you wrote the crippled god. It is the dying god. I know what you're saying, just clarifying for the audience.
Okay. You're right. Sorry. And I said that Kalor was going to seek an audience with the dying god, who I guess I just assumed is the crippled god. So
yes, you have, I know what you've done. I'm just clarifying in text.
Got it. Thank you, Pete. Thank you. So we're in Bastion. There's a great line where Skin Tick is like, if you'd think with a city called Bastion, it would be an impregnable fortress, which is very funny. There's now, I want to talk a little bit, I want to start off right at the bat with there being a crashed Kachain Chamal machine, mm-hmm. and then Skin Tick being like, maybe the dying god came down in it. Do you, India and AJ, do you have any grasp whatsoever on the dying god, the jade crystals, how the Kachain Chamal have anything to do with it? Are there any connections you've made? Because I've made zero.
No.
AJ shaking his head.
Yeah. No. Sorry, I forgot we were on an audio medium. I have no.
Pete, when you were reading these books, forever ago, can you remember? Did this plot line, had you put anything together, or were you also just along for the ride with these big things happening?
I was never a big putter together a lot of the times. I only put some stuff together, but the mood and tone of this section has really stood out to me more this time, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. It's not just us, that this is, as I called other storylines, this one's opaque as well. Mm-hmm. But we get in there, Kalor is doing his own thing. There's an inn that's been set up for them. At some point, actually, I want to back up. This is a question I've had for several chapters. Why do they give a fuck about Clip? It felt like the first several chapters, they felt like they were kind of held hostage in a way by Clip, and they got to the point where Clip is literally no longer of their concern, or could be if they just let him go. He's no longer holding the threat of killing them. Why do they feel so drawn towards saving him just so they can go to their dad? AJ, India, any thoughts on this? Because I just don't understand why they care.
I think it's kind of a... Is he a
religious figure? He's a religious figure.
I mean, he's technically claimed to be the mortal sword of Animander Rake.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, it seems... I don't remember the exact moments from that chapter, but this feels like something that Namander was like, no, we have to bring him back. And everyone's like, okay, fine, Namander. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
I hate Namander so
He's
much.
a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Is he? Namander. I thought you meant Clip. It's like, Clip is not a good, explicitly not a good guy, it feels like. But they're here, and at this point, it's a full-blown horror movie, you know? They've shown up to an inn. It's been left with supplies for them so that they can, you know, eat and get ready for whatever the next ordeal is. Kudos to these Andy for having a backbone. I would have left forever ago. No way I'd be this far in.
Yeah. There's this in this section, there's like, they talk about the Kellic and stuff, and it's like very clear here that this is like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say it's very clear. I don't want to make assumptions about, you know, purpose and stuff, but this is like a very clear addiction allegory to me.
Oh, yeah.
And even with the quote, this Kellic is worse than a plague because its victims invite it into their lives and then are indifferent to their own suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think it's a poignant summation of the disease of addiction, you know, but I'm not sure if this book is going to, I don't know. It just seems like a thing that the book is touching on. I don't know if it's like a theme of the book, but I appreciated it, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely not a theme that's been explored so far besides, I guess, somewhat with Scalara when she was kind of hooked on.
Yeah, we've got the Durhang stuff, yeah. But yeah.
But this is to a much bigger extreme.
Yeah,
sure.
I think making it in a or showing it through a thing that's not like explicitly a drug, you know, like it is some like...
Well, this is more metaphorical.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially since Kellic, I think, is, you know, it is like kind of a thing physically, but I also think it's more symbolic to me than
it could be
Durhang
anything.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to stand in for different stuff, but...
Yeah, and then we get to, I mean, pretty much the chapter ends with Namander and Skintick sort of exploring, finding the temple and seeing it guarded by far too many people for them to fight through, and kind of deciding their only option is to sneak in. And I think from there, all we... Yeah. I think from there, all we can do is make some predictions on how that's going to go. So I would like to constrain our prediction corner today to this plot line. Where do we see the Tisty Andy Animander Rake children storyline going from here now that they are in the city of the dying god, Bastion? India, you first. Where do you predict this will go? How will things turn out?
All right. So the dying god and the Kachain Shamal and the Jade Hands are, in fact, not Haboric, but a very large and scary demon. And then Clip is gonna get eaten by the demon. And then fucking somehow Karsa and Traveler are just gonna appear there. And Animander Rake is gonna be there too. And they're all gonna talk and sort this whole mess out. And that's how this is gonna end.
Wow.
I'd love that to happen. That sounds great. I don't know if I'm confident that will happen, but I would.
Peter looks confident. Peter looks confident over there.
Yeah, that face screams. You nailed it. Yeah. All right, and AJ, how about you? Where do you see this going?
I think Arantha is like a Tashrin in Memories of Ice situation. She's just worse at hiding it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's obviously got some shit going on inside her. And I feel like they're going to try and sneak. They're going to get caught. It sounds like Arantha is like some sort of personification of like Makra or something, because there was a couple of instances.
She's definitely, she's definitely something.
Yeah, where like Namander was around her and like he said he like felt something about, in his head. I don't know. So I feel like they're going to get caught, and then there's going to be some sort of like fight, and then she's just going to do some sort of like brain scream and like kill them all or turn them or something, or like, I don't fucking know. And then
a brain scream.
Yeah, a brain scream.
I like that word combo.
What is that?
Big fan.
The fuck is that?
Like a psychic sound that's like a scream, but you can't actually make sounds.
From your head?
Yeah, from your head, right. And everyone's going to hear it in their heads. Yeah.
Brain scream. I love that. That's great. That's good.
I just, there's just no way that this works out, that this goes well.
No way.
But I can't, they can't just like have a clip with them and then, oops, he is dead now. Like there has to be some sort of conclusion to that, And I just don't even know what it is. Cause like, I don't want it to be that like, he gets revived and he's fine or whatever. Like, I just don't know.
I really do think that I think that they're gonna get in there, and it's going to be revealed that they wanted Namander all along, and they're gonna take a Namander and use him.
Interesting.
Because that's how Steve do. He make you like, and then he destroy.
Yeah.
I'm not even the fact that you guys can even think of what is next is impressive to me. So.
Well, folks, I think that's about do it. Mm-hmm.
I also think that's about do it.
I think that's going to do it.
You know what? I think that'll be about do it.
I think that's going to do it for us here at 10 Very Big Books. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you didn't, sucks. Anyway, AJ's going to fill us in afterwards with their really good after credit stuff. And
that
that's
Josh has totally heard before.
And Josh has heard.
Yeah, and I'm never going to remember it. All right. And that's it. Goodbye.
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here, recovering from the novel coronavirus of 2019. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to give us your thoughts or feelings about this or any of our episodes, you can always email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, tweet us at 10verybigbooks, or you can head on over to our Discord, bit.ly/VBBDiscord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. That link will also be in our show notes. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon who got to hear the little radio bit a day early. So if you'd like to financially support the show and get access to bits and some of our special episodes, you can head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. That link is also in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gazerick for making our spectacular cover art. You can follow him on Twitter at @A_W_DanG for the hottest NBA second team takes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode, including the remixed intro and outro tracks, is by the one, the only Amaranthan from his album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with his other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on June 10th, talking about chapters 11 and 12 of Toll the Hounds. Talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.